Let's be real for a second. There is a specific kind of comfort that comes with ending your day with Stephen Colbert. For millions of us, it's a ritual. You had a long day, the news cycle has been overwhelming, to say the least, and you just need someone to help you process the madness with a little bit of wit, a lot of intelligence, and that signature raised eyebrow. Since taking over the Ed Sullivan Theater, Stephen hasn't just been a host, he's been a late-night anchor in the truest sense of the word, keeping us grounded when the world feels like it's spinning off its axis. But, like all good things, we are suddenly facing the reality that this, too, has an expiration date. Recently, Stephen Colbert has been incredibly honest, and honestly, a little heartbreaking, about the future of The Late Show and his inevitable departure. It's not a conversation we want to have, but it's one that Stephen is facing with the same grace and introspection that made us fall in love with him in the first place. Here is everything we know about Stephen's honest thoughts on the end of his show, and why it's hitting us all right in the feels. The check engine light is on. We tend to look at celebrities, especially the ones we see every single night, as infinite resources. We expect them to always be there, always be funny, and always be on. But Stephen has recently opened up about the sheer physical and mental toll of hosting a daily late-night show. In recent candid interviews, including moments on his own show and chats with peers, Stephen has hinted that he can see the finish line. He isn't leaving tomorrow, thank goodness, but he is acutely aware that he cannot do this forever. He has famously compared the job to a marathon that restarts every single morning. The relentless cycle of writing, rehearsing, and performing is exhilarating, sure, but it's also exhausting. "I don't want to be the guy who stays too long at the party," is a sentiment he has echoed. It's a moment of vulnerability that reminds us that behind the sharp suits and the sharper jokes, there is a man who wants to enjoy his life, his wife Evie, and his grandkids without the pressure of a nightly deadline. Why this feels different from other hosts. When other hosts talk about leaving, it often feels like a contract negotiation tactic. With Stephen, it feels different. It feels spiritual. If you followed Stephen's career, you know he is a man of deep faith and profound emotional depth. He has spoken openly about tragedy, having lost his father and two brothers in a plane crash when he was a boy. This shaped his worldview. Life is precious and life is short. When he talks about the show ending, he isn't talking about money, he's talking about time. He's asking himself the big questions. How much of my life belongs to the audience? How much belongs to me? What is the legacy I want to leave behind? It's this honesty that makes the idea of him leaving so bittersweet. We want him to be happy, but we are selfishly terrified of losing his voice. The evolution of Stephen, from character to human. To understand why his eventual exit will be so impactful, we have to look at the journey. Remember the Colbert Report? We love that character, the bloviating, conservative pundit who never let facts get in the way of a good argument. But when he took over for David Letterman, we met the real Stephen. And that transition was magic. We saw a man who wasn't afraid to cry on camera when discussing grief with Andrew Garfield. We saw a man who geeked out over Lord of the Rings with the excitement of a schoolboy. We saw a husband who genuinely worships his wife, Evie. He made late night safe for vulnerability. He turned the monologue from a list of jokes into a nightly check-in. Losing that will feel like losing a friend who just gets it. The Evie factor. We can't talk about Stephen retiring without talking about his better half. The chemistry between Stephen and his wife, Evie, is the stuff of legend. Whenever she is in the audience, or when they do segments together, Stephen lights up in a way he doesn't with anyone else. Stephen has made it clear, his priority is his family. He has worked incredibly hard for decades. The honest thought he seems to be grappling with is the desire to just be with them. To read books, to go to mass, to travel without a camera crew. As much as we will miss him, who can begrudge him that? So, when is it happening? Take a deep breath. You don't need to panic just yet. Stephen recently signed a contract extension that keeps him at CBS through 2026. This gives us at least a few more years of the Late Show glory days. However, the tone of his recent comments suggests that this contract might be his last big one. He has alluded to the fact that he doesn't want to be doing this into his 70s in the same grinding capacity. He wants to go out on top, while he is still sharp, still loving it, and still the king of late night. The fear of the void. There is also a relatable fear that Stephen has confessed to. What happens when the applause stops? For a performer, the silence after a career of noise can be deafening. Stephen has been honest about the anxiety of retirement. It's a transition that scares him, just as much as it scares us to lose him. It is a leap of faith. The legacy he will leave behind, when Stephen eventually does sign off for the last time, whether it's in 2026 or a few years later, he will leave a hole in the culture that will be nearly impossible to fill. He proved that you could be smart and funny. He proved you could be kind and biting. He proved that you could lead with your heart, even in the cynical world of politics. The verdict? Stephen Colbert's honest thoughts on ending his show are a wake-up call for us as viewers. We shouldn't take these nights for granted. Every monologue, every confessional, every interview is a piece of television history. Instead of dreading the end, let's enjoy the ride. Let's appreciate the fact that we get to watch a master at work, night after night. Because one day, the screen will go to black, and we'll be left with just the memories of the laughs. And what a run it has been. What do you think? Are you dreading the day Stephen retires? Who on earth could possibly replace him? Or do you think he's earned a nice, long vacation with Evie? Let's chat in the comments.